everyone. Welcome to our Moth open house. I'm Jill. I'm one of the founders of Moth. I'm joined by our other teachers and Truffaut, who's a co-founder of Moth. We just want to introduce all our courses since we are fairly new to the scene with homeschool course providing. And we wanted to introduce ourselves and talk about some of our offerings this year. So, like I said, I'm Jill. I've been homeschooling forever. I've been homeschooling my kids for a very long time since they're quite little, including Truffaut, who is my oldest. I have twins, so I was going to say one of my oldest, but True, you are the oldest. So he went all the way through homeschooling. And I run Simplify for You, where I do high school counseling and college counseling. And I also run College Confident Homeschoolers on Facebook, which is a great group for anyone. And I started Moth last year, and this has been our first year of classes, and we are going to continue next year. And we have a little bit more offerings and more teachers. So that's me. Truffaut, want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm Truffaut Harper. I'm Jill's son, as she said, and I'm a master's student currently at NCSU, and I'm going to have my master's in May, which is very exciting.
Yay.
I've been teaching undergrad students here for about 2 years now, and it's something I really enjoy doing, so I want to continue teaching going forward, which is why I've decided to teach at Moth.
Awesome. Okay. And what's your specialty, True?
Well,
What's your
I'm
degrees
a
in and what do you, yeah, go ahead.
I'm an environmental data scientist, so I do a lot of like coding work with data, but it's like specifically targeted towards environmental issues, environmental problems. And so at Moth, I'm going to be teaching stuff like coding related, environmental science related, that type of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Christy, would you like to introduce
Hi.
yourself?
Hi, my name is Christy. I have four children. In this coming year, I'll have two in college and one in high school and one in middle school. I have been homeschooling them all since forever. And I used to be an attorney in my former life. Since I've been homeschooling, I have been teaching both locally at co-ops and then online in discussion-based groups and in classroom settings for probably 8 or 9 years. So this coming fall will be my first year with Moth, and I am thrilled to join them because I love this idea of high input, low output, where kids can get a lot of really good information, but don't have to write hundreds of papers and do all of that, right? And
Yeah.
where kids can take really unique classes that really make homeschooling the unique experience that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're excited that you're on board. Another new teacher is Mia. Mia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, one sec, Mia, you're muted.
Can you unmute yourself, Mia?
Or do I might have to. Let me see.
Okay, try it, cheerful.
Um,
Sorry, everyone. We're doing it there. Oh, it was unmuted for a second. You know what? Figure that out. We'll go. I was going to save Aaliyah for last. Aaliyah taught here a lot of classes this year at Moth and does tons of work behind the scenes. So Aaliyah, she's really helping me quite a bit in Truffaut with everything. Aaliyah, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Aaliyah. I've been with Moth for the last year since we started. It's been a really fun journey to see how this has progressed over time and just to see all of these happy parents leave us last semester and hopefully have us again, rejoin this year. But it was a really fun experience getting started teaching with Moth. Um, and this year I'm offering three history classes, one ethnic studies class, and then we have some clubs and book clubs to introduce this year as well. So it's really exciting. I primarily teach history because I am a history major from UC Irvine. And we have a lot of other unique classes that have been added as well. So it's really exciting to see Moth growing.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I have chat open for anyone. And I think we just have a few people joining us so far. It's going to be recorded. Mia, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Mia. So a little bit about myself. I actually have no experience with homeschool, but I did tutor for a while during COVID, some of my cousins and other kids. And so that was primarily online, obviously. Um, but I'm really excited to join this. I studied English literature, history, and Chicano studies at UCLA. So a lot of my book clubs are going to be very intersectional, which I think is what kind of led me here is the ability to teach something that like wasn't just like traditional. Um,
Hmm.
and so, yeah, I'm really excited to join.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Mia's running a few book clubs for us, and I
Mhm.
think one our book clubs are a little different. I really like that. We have a geopolitical book club and an environmental book club, and those are all nonfiction for students who want something a little different. And then our other book clubs tend to use a book list that's not all classical based. I work with homeschoolers who apply to college, and book lists are sometimes part of that application. Depends on the parents and how they do the paperwork. But having a unique book list really helps students stand out, which is why we designed several of our book clubs that way. Okay, we're going to talk about our courses here, but one thing I want to highlight, and Christy talked about it a lot, is that our courses are high input and low output. And a parent wrote me the other day asking what that means. What it is we want, because I work with homeschoolers who are in high school, a lot of times, they have a STEM interest. They want to go into engineering, or they're all in with like English, or they're all in with psychology, whatever it is. And based on what they're all in with, some of their courses obviously need high output. If you're doing math, you're always going to have work every day because it's math. You want your teens writing fairly good, and you want an English course that provides that. If they're in engineering, you want maybe a second science that has output. So how do you balance these courses that are a little intense? And we all know that high school nowadays has gotten even more intense than when any of us were doing it, with other courses that they need on their transcript, because most students need 7 credits every year on their transcript. And how to give courses that are interesting, that help them stand out a bit with college admissions. And that's our goal here. So the information is all high input. It's interesting topics. They can go deep in a certain area, but the output is very minimal. It doesn't mean there's no output. For instance, in my film classes, they do 2 projects a year. So there is output. There is also a huge focus on discussion. I've talked to a lot of homeschoolers who've gone to college, and I think one of the best things that can help homeschoolers once they get there is being able to have confidence that they can be part of a classroom discussion, and to know how to do that, and how to listen to other people's opinions, and how to share their opinions, and get comfortable with that. With that being said, Moth is also a provider that supports students with any sort of disabilities, learning disabilities, physical disabilities. When you register at Moth, there's a question that says, explain anything you want us to know. And that was really important to both of us. Truffaut, explain why that's so important to you.
Well, I myself am a person with a disability, so obviously I believe that anyone should be able to learn, anyone should have access to education. And
Yeah.
so we really wanted to make that possible. So we will be willing to accommodate any needs that any student has.
Yeah, as best we can. So, for instance, I really encourage all students to have cameras on, and discussion's a big part of any of our classes. But some students just can't do that for whatever reason. And if cameras are off, that's fine. Chat is always open. I encourage students who can't do cameras on to try to participate via chat. I have a student who really needs just chat. I often ask them, can I read what you put in chat? And then they'll put yes. And then I'll read, their thoughts to the group. And they feel like they're participating, and they feel part of the whole discussion, which I think is really important. Any other accommodations we work with? Aaliyah, you had to do this in a lot of your classes.
Yeah,
And
and I think that's like kind of the beautiful thing about homeschooling. Again, growing up being homeschooled, I never had any disabilities or anything like that, but I grew up amongst a lot of other peers that did. And I think it grows your sense of empathy for other people and treating other people like human beings, no bullying, nothing like that, which was really, really a positive thing to see. But again, like when we're actually teaching these courses, it's really helpful, I think, both for students and parents. Because at least I know at Moth, as a teacher here, we're very communicative with parents. And then, really trying to cater to any student's needs or help with anything within the classroom. So there's really no sense of getting left behind or um, missing out on anything because there's always a way around it. That's what homeschooling is about, is we're focusing on each child, what they need, each student, and how they can learn the best, basically.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Um, Anyone else want to say anything about that? Okay. There was something else I was just thinking about. So just to let everyone know, I have ADHD. My thought went somewhere. And I was like, I should talk about this, and I've lost it. So now let's just talk about all our courses, and then maybe it'll come back to me. So, Mia, what are you teaching?
So I've
And,
got
and
one,
it's summer too, because we do have
yeah,
a few short things. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I've got one summer class or one summer book club and one fall year-long book club. So the summer one I'm really excited about. It's going to be a graphic novel class. And obviously like all of the books are graphic novels, but I'm super interested in like the way that graphic novels are typically an underrated form of literature. So I feel like it's going to be an easier read since we're doing one book a week. But it's also, I think, fun for discussion for the kids because like one book in particular that sticks out doesn't have any words, and so
Ooh,
like I'm super interested to see how they tend or how they interpret the way that like the story is being told, given that there's no words. Um, so that's
that's
one. It's going to
awesome.
be,
Yeah,
yeah, it's no homework except obviously read the book, please, as much as you can, and then
yeah.
like discussion. And then the second one is a book club in the fall. And that's another one that I've been kind of like messing with a lot as far as like putting in books, taking out books, that kind of stuff. And it's post-colonial works. And essentially, I'm kind of picked all those classes or those books because they're all like very intersectional,
Hmm.
right? We're not talking about just one culture. And it's like really the relationship that everybody has with language and how it differs and
Ooh,
how sometimes it can be violent or sometimes it can be salvation or just beautiful essentially. But
uh-huh.
yeah, those are the two book clubs I've got going.
Yeah. And I really like your book list for the year-long book club. I haven't looked at your graphic novel book list. I love graphic novels. I did a little bit more about me. I taught on Out School for over, gosh, I don't know, 10 years, true, a long time.
About 10,
Tons
yeah.
of book. And
Yeah, I
during
remember when you
COVID,
started.
yeah, you guys were younger. If anyone doesn't know, True and Aaliyah grew up together. So
Yeah, we did.
yeah, we
We
all
lived a
homeschooled
block away
together.
from each other for
Yeah.
most of our lives.
Yeah, it was really good. So I did so many book clubs during COVID. It was crazy. Maybe I was running 40 at a time. And I love graphic novels. And graphic novels are so good for the student who doesn't have a ton of time to read
Yeah.
because you can get through a whole graphic novel fairly easily. And they're
Mhm.
pretty in depth. I mean, there's some beautiful graphic novels out there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's really great. And your year-long one has a very unique book list. I think it's one of the best book lists out there for
Thank you.
homeschoolers. Yeah, for teens. So I really hope that a lot of students take advantage of that because I think it'll add a lot to their year.
Yeah, and
All
it's nice
right.
because it's one book a month, so they have enough
Yeah.
time to read it.
Yeah. And you know what? I do book clubs and I always like sometimes during AP, see, when all the AP exams are going on or something major, I'm like, if you can't get through the whole book, read what you can and come for the discussion because this discussion is so key, to sharing your don't skip class because you don't finish. That's okay. It's
Mm.
definitely okay. Um, Aaliyah, why don't you do your classes too? Because you have summer offerings.
Yeah, for sure. So, starting with summer, I have two different courses. One is a book club. It's going to be our Ghibli Summer Book Club or
So
Ghibli,
fun.
depending on which way you want to say it.
Yeah.
But I'm just a huge fan of Hayao Miyazaki movies. And I thought it would be really fun to go in and read some of the books that inspired his films. Obviously, some are loosely inspired based off of the books. A lot of them are, classics for younger teens or kids. And I obviously we teach high school, so I wanted to kind of gear it towards older students. Anybody can read these books and still learn lessons from them, take, valuable information from them. So basically what we'll be doing is reading 5 books and watching 5 corresponding films with it. So I think it will be really fun, especially if you're already familiar with this particular style of film,
Yeah.
the artist himself. I don't know. I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be really fun this summer. And then our other class that I have for summer is going to be how to take notes with purpose. This class is geared both for high school students going into college and students just entering high school, depending on, what they feel like they can get the most use out of for this course. But really, it's geared towards learning how to take notes in a way that is going to help you excel in school, whether that's high school or college. Obviously, we have a lot of people who enter college and they have no idea how to, absorb the information that they're learning. You enter, testing days, writing essays, just completely blank and having no idea what to do, and it can be so overwhelming. But being very OCD in high school, I kind of figured out, really helpful ways to take notes. And honestly, it really, I think, does make a difference. So
Yeah.
I graduated on the Dean's Honor List every single year in college. I got A and A pluses at a top tier university consistently. And I
And
really,
his notes.
I think it does boil down to, so I don't know, you can tell I'm very passionate about this.
Yeah,
Um,
I think a note-taking class is amazing for students who are getting ready to go to college or students in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, and the point of it really is not to say that there's one way of doing this. It can be any way, but it's about finding what works for you because every brain is going to absorb information differently. And I think that's the real key here is figuring out what's your note-taking style and how are you going to actually succeed in school.
Yeah. I love
Um,
that.
yeah, so that's my summer course offerings.
Okay. What do you got for next
And
year?
then, as you can tell, I have a lot of classes. We went all in this year.
Yeah, and
Um,
everyone, all our listings are at mothlearning.com. Is that our
yeah,
website? I think so. Yeah.
yes.
I should know that. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead, Aaliyah.
And then basically for fall, I'm offering, well, actually, I guess 2 of them you could kind of consider like halfway history classes. It's going to be our Introduction to Museum Studies and our Ethnic Studies California. These 2 you can really use either for like a history credit as like an elective kind of credit. Basically, they're going to be covering firstly, Introduction to Museum Studies, what it sounds like. We're going to be going over museum settings, history, archaeology, science, all of these kind of, you know, cross, sub or subjects that intersect with each other and can be really useful as you go into, again, college, just kind of getting students ready for these more complex ideas that are out in the world. But we had a lot of fun with this class last year. I would say it was one of our most like popular classes. Um, we
Yeah.
did a lot of really interesting reading. We had a lot of really cool discussions. And I feel like because so many homeschool students grow up going to museums, that one is a big
Yeah.
but yeah, that one was really fun. Ethnic studies, that's going to be a new course. Basically, we're going to be covering the history of California, but through a lens of ethnic studies. We're actually the first state. I'm from California, but we're the first state
Woo.
that actually requires ethnic studies as a college, requirement, and I believe also a high school requirement now as well too. But I especially feel it's an important class just because it allows you to see different cultures and learn about all the different people within California and what that actually, creates as a society and as a history. And then I have 2 other history courses. It's going to be our World History, Food and Politics, and American History through Music, which are
It's
kind of,
fun.
yep, fun. Basically, history fun. We're looking at in World History, Food and Politics, we're jumping around from different time periods. So that could be anywhere from, like Japan, when they were shut off from the rest of the world, to Dole pineapple, to Thanksgiving, to, I don't know, Cuban food, the invention of peanut butter. So we're
I'm
kind
so hungry,
of,
Aaliyah.
yeah, we're jumping all over, but it's really, really fun. That one, we get to learn about history, fun food facts, all sorts of cool stuff. And then American history through music, the modern era, basically just modern history, but we're going to be listening to music and having discussions around how music and youth culture influence history, politics, um, and just culture over time.
Cool. I wish I
Yeah.
could sign up for some of these. That's what I keep thinking about a lot of our classes.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you, Aaliyah. Leah's courses are very popular, and we got really good feedback on a lot of them. And in fact, Christy, your son was in one of Aaliyah's classes. That's so
Yes, so
fun.
it's a great segue to me.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I contacted Jill because like I said, I've been teaching at different platforms and these classes really spoke to me because I have a STEM kid that was doing a lot of really difficult math and science classes and he really loved history but did not want to spend so
Hmm.
many hours in a really intense history class. And so he signed up, we signed him up for Aaliyah's Food and Politics, and he loved it. It totally kind of fit his way of wanting to think about things in a different way. And I so loved it. That's why I contacted Jill and said,
And the
I
rest
would
is
love to
history.
teach here. This is
Yeah.
exactly what I am looking for. And so, again, my name is Christy. I have two classes in a book club this coming year. So, one of my classes is called is so I most states have a government requirement class, and I think my Constitution through Supreme Court cases would be great for a government requirement, but also for students that have already fulfilled that. I think government can often be very boring if you're just learning how many years does a senator serve, right? They can be very dull. But my goal with this is to learn about our system of government, right? The all the articles of constitution, all the articles in our constitution plus all the amendments, but learn about it from Supreme Court cases. Because as we're fully aware in modern America, most things having to do with the Constitution come down to what does the Supreme Court case say about that,
Hmm.
right? So whether we are talking about any of Congress's power, the president's power, the Supreme Court's power, all of those are really determined by what the court says they are. So the way that this will work is, for example, if we're looking I think teenagers really respond better to stories, right? So if you look at it from, okay, what does it mean? What does freedom of speech mean? Well, if you're looking at it from a case of what can a high school student, which the Supreme Court has ruled on, what is that? What can a high school student, what kind of shirts can they wear to class, right?
Right.
So, what we will look at when we're looking at freedom of speech, we will look at what is the issue, right? Can students wear protest shirts to class? That's the issue. What is the rule? Well, it's the First Amendment. But then the real crux of the class is how is it analyzed? So we will look at the Supreme Court decisions. It's what the holding is, and these always have dissents, right? So I always
Right.
say yesterday's dissent is tomorrow's majority opinion. So we're really going to look at both sides. What did the holding say, and then what is the dissent to help us gauge how these things are viewed. And so
Right.
the
Right.
output for the student really is my goal is definitely for this class, not for it to be a debate, because we're looking at analyzing. And then after class on the class page, they can write about what conclusion. If they want to express, okay, like I really think they should have, that's their chance
To share
to
their
really
opinion.
to share their opinion. In class, we're
Great.
really going to do analysis. which I think is also really helpful for college classes or for AP classes. So
Yeah,
if you're going to take an AP class, your student is going to have to evaluate a document in a history classes, right? In AP US, things like
right,
that. If they
right.
take
Yeah,
those, they're going to have to evaluate a document. And I really think this helps prepare them for how, because we're going to every week be evaluating
that's
the
really good.
Supreme Court opinions.
Yeah,
So it's a really good prep for if your student is looking for AP classes in the future or for college.
right,
My
right.
other class is Intro to Law.
Yay. I'm
We will
excited for
do,
this.
yes, we're going to do an entire overview of every aspect of the legal world. And there really is not anything in your life that is not somehow touched by law. So as these students go off to college, they're going to have to, maybe they get a credit card. What are you agreeing to there? That's under contracts. That's also under business law. So many different aspects of your
Right.
life is governed by laws, right? People don't maybe understand business law. They don't understand contract law. They don't understand the warranty that they're getting for their iPhone, right? All of that is governed by law. So we're going to do a real overview of every aspect of the law and really sort of touch on how that's going to affect these students
I
in
want
their
to
lives.
I want to jump in real quick and say that because I work with so many homeschoolers, one of the things that so many of the we talk directly with the teens, a lot of teens want, they're like, I wish there was a class on just law. I'd love to know about law. And there really isn't that many offerings. So I'm so excited about this. I think it's a great class to have, and I'm glad we have it at Moth. Sorry to
Yes.
jump in.
No,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
okay. I'm thrilled. Exactly. And I'm thrilled to do it. I have taught these in homeschool settings before, and I just love they really lend themselves to great discussion
Yeah,
based classes. So I think
right.
this is the perfect platform for them. And then I'm taking over. Jill has for years done the geopolitical book club, and I'm
Yes.
taking that over for her. And
I'm handing
I
it
am
off.
so thrilled to do it. We'll do a book a month, and you'll see on the website there's the books that Jill has done. I'm holding off a little to choose those because, as we all know,
The
geopolitical
world's
issues will change on a daily basis. So I'm kind of holding off on some of those to finalize it this summer.
Mhm.
And sometimes those books get published very quickly. So we might not even know someone, might get a contract to
Yeah,
write a book that they're
and
working
publish
on.
it in
And
6 months. Yeah.
yes. So I will finalize that. I just haven't yet, but every month they'll read the book and have a question that they come prepared to bring to the discussion, and that'll kind of be our jumping off point to discuss. But there's no written work in the book club. It's
No.
100% just discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do the geopolitical book club this year. It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. And I did start having students come to each meeting with a question ready. And they all enjoy it. Like they really enjoy coming up with their own question, and they'll read their question and everyone debates it. And then we go to the next one. And it's a really great way for students to kind of get involved. I also like it because then I always make the person who writes the question to answer their own question. So they have time to think about it ahead of time, because some students don't like being put on the spot and answering some of these discussion questions. So I always make sure everyone has a few questions ahead of time that they can think about, whether it's their own or I post a few. So that's great. Thank you, Christy. I
Thank
can't wait
you.
for those classes. I'm going to segue real quick to Naomi. She came. Naomi has been in. Naomi, introduce yourself real quick.
Hello, I'm Naomi. I'm 17 years old and currently a junior in high school, and I've been homeschooling since kindergarten and have known Jill since I think 8th or 7th grade.
A long time. I
So
think seventh. Yeah.
4 years now, 5.
And you've been in a ton of my book clubs.
hmm
Okay. And what do you do at Moth?
I helped TA one of the book clubs. So this past year, I was helping in a monthly teen book club with a variety of genres, and this coming year, we're doing a fantasy one focused on like world building and
Magic
character
systems.
development and magic systems.
Yeah.
Very excited
So
for that.
Yes, I mean, I'm going to let you talk about that in a second, but I wanted to highlight that at Moth, one of the big things that I want to do is have opportunities for students to become involved, whether it's through, we have a student this year who was helping us with social media, and that was their role, or TAing. And if you take a course, then you can TA for it the next year. And you really do get to help run the course and do things for it. And then it's a really great thing. Colleges are often looking for activities. They want to see students are involved. I don't know if everyone knows this, but activities are now becoming almost as important as the essays, or more important, since AI came out, and they're a little hesitant with these essays a bit. And TAing is a great opportunity. It gets you very close to the teachers, gets you to do something on your, outside of regular coursework. And we love it. I love working with students. I love that they have opportunities. The other thing I want to say too is, because I work with so many students at Simplify, I know how important letters of recommendation are on the college application process. If your student is in our courses and they come and they discuss and they just put some effort into it, we are always happy, and we know how important it is to write letters of recommendation for any student for the Common App or other applications. So just keep that in mind. Naomi, talk about our fantasy book club. We haven't quite finalized the book list yet. We're working on
Yeah,
it.
I saw you put out the first semester.
Yes, yes. Wow, I forgot I did that, Naomi. This is how crazy my ADHD is. Okay, so talk about it.
So basically, we'll have a meeting every month, and before the meeting, everyone will have read the same fantasy book, and then I will come up with some questions and post them ahead of time. So, like Jill was saying earlier, people will have a chance to think about them beforehand and process if need
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
And then we just have like an hour-long meeting every month and discuss and like debate the magic system and see what we thought of the book.
Yeah, and our book
It's
list, we
very fun.
tried to, yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad it's fun. And I like that you come up with the questions, and then sometimes you're very active in chat as a TA, and sometimes you lead the discussion. It's a really great opportunity. Um, Naomi and I have spent some time coming up with the books. We did the first semester already. We just listed the Fantasy Book Club. It's a new offering. One of the reasons this is how we get students involved is, I didn't think, because Naomi's a senior next year, and I also work with her at Simplify, and she's so busy. And Naomi, I honestly didn't think you'd want to do a book club. And then she reached out to me and was like, can we do a book club on the magic
Always
system?
have
And I'm
time for
like,
reading.
you always have time for reading. And I was like, yes, absolutely. We will do this fantasy magic system book club. And we try to have a variety of books, older ones, newer ones, a variety of authors and everything. And I think a lot of students love fantasy. So we're really going to dig deep in the world building and the magic system of each of these books. Naomi, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for showing up and talking
Mhm,
about it and
of course.
everything. Again, we love to have students involved. Okay. Trufo. I almost forgot you.
How, Mom, I'm your son.
I know, I'm just joking. Okay,
I know.
introduce your classes.
So I'm going to be teaching two courses starting in the fall. The first one is an environmental book club, which I'm also taking over from Mom. She used to teach that, and so now I'm going to be doing so because that's what my major was in. So that's my background. I know a lot about that topic. And it's similar to the other one where it's monthly, it's discussion based, and students are going to be bringing their own questions. So we kind of went into that already, but it's going to be focused on environmental issues, environmental justice. And yeah, those types of discussions can often be very depressing. We don't want it to be
Mhm.
depressing. We're doing a wide variety of books on these issues, and some of them are going to be positive, some of them are going to be less positive, but it's not going to be just doom and gloom the whole time. So very excited to teach that. And then the other course I'm going to be teaching in the fall is going to be Intro to Game Design with Godot. And that course it's both a programming course and a course aimed at learning like basic game design principles. So at the beginning, we're going to be doing a lot of coding. We're going to learn how to do that because you need to be able to do that. And then once we've gone through that, we're going to start making our own games. I'm first the students are all going to work on the same games, and then second semester, what I'm hoping we can do is have everyone make their own games and
Hmm.
kind of make it like a
Game jam.
game jam, yes.
Yeah.
Where and it's going to be very that course is also going to be somewhat discussion focused because what I'm hoping we can do is have everyone play these games, have people give feedback. There's will be a lot of like troubleshooting support and that type of thing.
Hmm. Wait, talk to me
And
about Godot. Is that the link? Because I don't know this very well.
yeah, so the course is going to be taught in Godot, which is a game engine. And obviously, you don't need a game engine to make games, but it's industry standard to do so typically because building your own engine from scratch is a whole other thing.
Hmm.
And the reason we're using Godot instead of something like Unity, for instance, is because one, it's completely free. There's no licensing fees associated with it at all. And it's
That's
open
always good.
source.
Yeah.
So it will always be available. And it's becoming more widely used in recent years, especially since people don't fully trust Unity anymore after they tried to change their contract retroactively on people. So I
Mm,
think this is a much better thing to go with than that.
right.
And so we're going to be using that for the course.
Okay, very cool. And so students will make one game first semester that everyone makes and then their own second semester.
Hmm.
And
And
is that pretty much
obviously,
that?
it's
Yeah, go ahead.
we're doing high input, low output, and you have to code to learn to code.
Yeah.
So p students are going to have to do that, but I don't want it to be like, oh, you have to get this done by this deadline. You have to get this done. There's not going to be a ton of homework. It's more so about coding as a group and learning through discussion. So,
Okay.
yeah,
That's really cool. I'm excited for that one. Naomi just put that sounds like fun in chat, and I agree. That sounds very fun. Most of these courses I would be very happy to have taken as a teenager. Um,
That
our
course is
book,
fun, and I know from experience growing up with True, he has always made his own video games. So I will say,
I
just
do have
getting
experience
to
with it.
see the video games he would make as a kid, like as an adult, I'm sure they're probably even more sophisticated. So yeah, that class sounds really exciting.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, True would make all those games, and then everyone would have to play them and everything. Yeah, that's funny,
I think
Aaliyah.
people enjoyed them, hopefully,
Oh,
but
well, always enjoy them, Truffaut. It was a
Yeah, no, they were
joy.
cool. They were cool because
Yeah,
I we had no capability of doing that. We're the liberal arts side of the brain.
yeah. True was very different. It was really good. Okay, True. Thank you so much. And then I want to talk. We are now going to offer some clubs. So, Aaliyah, why don't you talk about that? It's a new offering. The clubs will be up this week.
Yeah, so the clubs are really exciting. I'm not sure how many we have going as of right now. I know Jill
We're,
has one, I have one.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
gonna have a cinema film club.
yeah, so Jill is doing a cinema and film club, and I'm offering a cooking and baking club.
So much
Basically,
fun.
they're just fun little add-ons for your homeschoolers' education, kind of as more like elective studies or just, again, clubs that you can join to have fun and make friends. But basically, they will be either $50 if you're not signed up to a Moth course. But if you are signed up with Moth to any course, book club, basically any of our classes with fees, you get the clubs as a free add-on. But it's going to be a really fun way, again, to meet peers, to make friends, to just have some fun homeschooling. The best part of homeschooling, in my opinion, is that again, you don't have to go out to a school, you're at home, but you have time to do all of these fun things. And for me, cooking and baking during my lunch break, because again, I didn't have to go to a cafeteria, I didn't have to go somewhere, I could make like really amazing food and learn how to cook as a kid during my lunch break. So that was something that was really fun for me that I would love to pass on to other students, whether they're just learning how to cook, whether it's something they already like to do. This is going to be really fun. Basically, we're going to be doing different cooking, baking challenges each month, or theme cooking. And then at the end of the year, students have an option to create their own digital cookbook. So they can share their recipes with the rest of the class.
Ooh, that's awesome. I love that. My film club is just going to be one of my students who's in my introductory film. Well, you know what? I haven't even talked about my courses, but let me talk
You
about
should
film
do
club real
that,
quick.
yeah, Mom.
Yeah,
But
but let me talk about
also,
film
we've got a
club.
question in chat that you might
I
want
know,
to
I'm going to
answer.
answer that in 1 second. Yeah, I'll get to that. My film club is just going to be one of my students who's in my introductory film course is going to help me run it because, again, we love students to get involved. And it's really just going to be we're going to get together once a month, talk about films we've all watched, make recommendations. Going to talk about different film festivals open for students, any filming techniques and stuff like that. So it's really just going to be a drop in and just go nuts on film for all my cinephiles. And weirdly, there's a lot of cinephiles out there. So, I mean, I was one, I majored in film in college, and that's why I'm offering these courses. Let me just talk about mine. I handed off several of my book clubs this year because I'm so busy with Simplify 2. And I wanted to be able to focus on the courses I am offering. I have an introduction to film studies course, and it's just an overview. We watch lots of different films, share our thoughts on them. I will go to chat in just a minute too. And every week, students respond to one question I have about the film in the classroom before we meet. Then, once we meet, students read their answer out to everyone. So it's a prepared question for anyone who might have some anxiety or anything about talking on the spot. Some students do not like to read their response out loud. I always ask if I can read it, and almost every student always says yes. So it still gets discussed and everything. Obviously, they have to watch the films. And then we have 2 projects a year where I give some guidance and then students can go as creative as they want. So this year I had 2 students write a screenplay, very good. I had a student do a huge research paper that he's very academic, wanted to do a big research paper on the history of comedy films. I had a student make a film, and I had a student edit a Batman film, re-edit it, the whole film. And Truffaut, you watched that.
I did watch that. Yeah, that was really good.
It was so good.
It
The
was
student,
significantly better than the original movie.
it
So
was better. It was so much better. And that was really fun. And they had never edited it before. So it was a whole new experience and they did a great job. So again, it's open to students. I really like them to just get creative or do what they work to their strengths is what I would say in whatever way that is. I have an advanced film studies course this year where we're going to do more advanced topics. We're studying music and censorship in film and queer cinema and horror and something else I'm forgetting, but we're studying a lot of different topics. It's for all the students who are in the introduction in film class, but also anyone who's a little bit older or has some experience watching films and wants to take the advanced topic one. I'm doing fantasy book club with Naomi. And then my deep, deep love, and true folk can speak to this, is mysteries.
yeah, that's very true.
Um, and True's read tons of mysteries with me, and I think we wrote mysteries and
I have
everything.
to actually, before anything ever went online, we had physical book clubs where we would meet in person and we did a lot of mysteries.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's just something
Yeah.
I've always loved, right? Like totally. So I'm doing a mystery book club, really just because I wanted to do that. And I'm getting to an age where I just decided I'm going to do everything that makes me happy. So hopefully, right, Christy? Yes. So I'm doing a mystery book club. If anyone signs up or not, I'm going to read all those books and I'm going to really analyze them and everything. I love mysteries. So that's my other offering. Okay. Any of the teachers here want to add anything before we go to questions? Are we good? Okay. I know we're almost out. Okay. Um, Sarah, listening along as I look for courses for my sophomore next year, are all the Moth classes geared towards high schoolers? Predominantly they are, but some of them, I think Christy and Aaliyah, you each had one that you were going to take. Yeah. Christy, which one of your courses?
Yes, I had in my, so I did, particularly if, if you're like on the cusp, like a 13-year-old, if I talk to the parent and I feel, okay, because I realize in homeschooling, like some kids, we have a real range, and sometimes
We
people
do. We do.
homeschool their kids for reasons of, maybe they are profoundly gifted or whatnot. So I do. I just would like to make sure that the student is capable of analyzing or reading at that level, and if the parent is okay with that, then I'm fine with
Right,
having slightly younger. In my classes, I probably wouldn't go much younger than 13. Just but again, I'm never going to rule it out, right? Because I've no, but
right.
I would probably say maybe contact the teacher or Jill, and we could
Work it out.
work it out and figure out if it works well for your student.
Yeah. In my, we're considering adding maybe in the year after this coming year some middle school courses. When I taught out school, I did work with mostly middle schoolers for the most part. This has just gone more towards teens at this moment. My intro to film class takes 13 and up if parents are okay with the film list. So we want to make sure everyone's okay with what the high output input materials are. Um, Fantasy book club, the teen book club, I think Naomi, this year we had some younger students in that. And the fantasy book club, we're thinking like, again, if parents are okay with the book list, middle 12, 13 and up, whatever. Aaliyah, you had something, right, for middle school?
I think so, yeah. So basically for my year-long courses, like the history, museum, and ethnic studies courses, definitely if they're 13, can make some wiggle room as long as the parents are okay with them learning about more complicated topics. Um, and definitely for like American history through music, that one we could even maybe extend it to 12 as long as, again, they're okay with them listening to the music. I try to select songs that don't have any profanity or any, kind of suggestive or inappropriate kind of themes, especially if we're doing music videos that will not be a part of the class. Um, and that's why I recommend, again, use the links I provide because they will be safe links. And
Right.
then for the summer courses, that's where I can make an exception for like 11 to 13, because the Ghibli Summer Book Club, we can make an exception. The books are at a level in which I believe any of those ages could read it.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Last few notes, we use Google for everything. So we have Google Classroom, we use Google Meet, and that's how we communicate. All students need to have a Gmail account, even if it's just created for this purpose, because that when it's not a Gmail account, it's hard to access some of these things, especially the classroom for some reason. So that is a requirement. Also, I forgot my summer course completely, which is very important. I am doing a workshop to get students ready to apply to college. It's a summer college workshop. It is an overview because I do this with Farah at Simplify. But I wanted to provide a course for maybe families who can't afford our services at Simplify or who just needs an overview for their student. We're going to go through the whole college application process, talk about college lists, and it's going to include a one-on-one meeting with each student to go over their college lists. Talk about activity list and how important it is to fill that out and how tricky it is, letters of recommendation, the Common App, and essay advice. And Farah is actually teaching an essay course over at Simplify to go in with that. So that will be my final course. Anyone else have any last minute thoughts, Christy? Yes.
I just wanted to jump in on that. I seen that. And as someone who's in the midst of this, right, I have a senior who's going to college and I have a current college sophomore. $250, really, if you don't know kind of what you're doing with college
Mm-hmm.
applications, that's a steal for the amount of money that you will save, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
$250 to make the right list and to do the right things will save you tens of thousands of dollars. Honestly, I'm being completely honest
Well,
because the
it's so
list
important.
is that's the most important thing, and that is the difference in whether you can afford to pay for college or not, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I start with the list and spend a lot of time on it. And one of the things we go over is net price calculators and what families can afford. And are you looking for need-based aid or merit-based aid? And those are two very different things. And I want to make sure students are targeting the right kind of schools for the family's financial situation. Thanks for saying that. I'm really called to that. And if anyone follows me on Simplify, I'm very called to providing these services to making it affordable for all families.
Yeah,
And
and
that
I
is why I'm
can
offering
testify
that.
to that because Jill helped me get into college. Basically, Jill was like a second mom, basically. So
So
yeah,
sweet, Aaliyah.
yeah,
Yeah,
she
I'm
got
gonna
me into
I'm
college.
gonna cry.
No, she got me into college, and when we did my my college applications, we did multiple UC schools. So UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC Irvine, San Diego, and then all of the Cal States. I got into every single school I applied to. So Jill is really good at what she does, and definitely, again, with the financial portion, really helpful in understanding like the cost of it and what that looks like for you as a family.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, Aaliyah. You just like made my day. That's
yeah,
sweet.
I was, even I did a lot of this research myself, but a lot of it came from their board, and I can just tell you the information I was able to gain. I think a lot of people are think college is the way it was when we went to school, and it isn't. And even people, the number of people that I talk to who have children in college and don't even know what a net price calculator is. Some of you might be
Yeah.
watching and not know what it is, but you cannot apply to college if you don't know what that is. So
Yeah.
Jill is this $250 is a steal if you don't know where to start.
Thank you. Okay, so that was my final offering. Last thing I want to say again is Truffaut and I, we really started thinking about Moth early on. Yeah, True, do you want to say something?
I just unmuted in case I wanted to add something, but
Okay. And one of the main reasons again is working with students who may have disabilities, whether they be physical learning or mental health issues. And um, and of course, I know this population really well. Truffaut knows it very well. Gifted students with disabilities, also, 2E students, we work with them a lot. And I feel very called to that. These classes are supposed to be enjoyable for students, a highlight of their week, really interesting input, lower output. So they're balancing their schedule and they're not stressed. We don't want teens who are so burned out that by the time they get to college, they're just done. That's the last thing we want. And we want to be very supportive of families and of all students and homeschoolers, so they can get involved, they can become TAs, they can join clubs. We just want we're going to grow. I'm really excited about it, but we want the families to just feel very happy in this environment and the teens too. True, do you want to add anything?
no, I think you said that perfectly.
Okay. All right. Are we good? Does anyone want, I want to make sure if anyone wants to add anything, they can. Okay, good. Thank you, everyone. We're going to have the recording available. A few people dropped in. I appreciate it. And we'll see everyone next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.